everybody, and welcome here to another Kerfuffle showcase. And I am delighted to have the team here from Letmojo, Gary Abraham and Emily Groves. How the devil are you two?
Fine, thank you.
We're very well, thank you very much.
I think worryingly, guys, we've got to a perfect nexus here, where with the wonderful Kerfuffle merch and your fantastic Letmojo logo up there, we could be construed as children's TV. So we've got to just make the point that that's not what we're about today. This isn't Mr. Tumble and all these Mr. Maker friends here. We are going to be talking some serious business about how you're going to be able to help out lettings agents in particular, obviously with their services. So what I'm really keen today to do is, let's deal with the title first, Gary. It's why automation and referencing does not get you the best best tenants. Nice clickbaity title there for one. I like that, and I think I understand already where you're coming from. But before we get into that, obviously you guys were in tenant referencing before. Just give us a bit of your background, if you wouldn't mind, elevator pitch style, and also just let us know what prompted you to get back into the same space.
Okay, so I set up the company, which many people that are listening to this will have heard of, called Rent Shield Direct Limited in 2004. It was a very successful business. We hit the market at the right time, and skipping right to 2010, I sold the business to Barben Insurance, who then owned Letshaw and, well, Home Let's the main player, but also Letshaw. So we become a part of that group. I had a 3-year earn-out, so I stayed on, and after a couple of years, I was promoted to sales and marketing director for Barben. So for my sins, I had to go up to Lincoln Monday to Friday, which was good, but and I was then involved with a sale of Barben Insurance through a PE venture for an extortionate amount of money.
It certainly was, and very impressive.
And I then exited the business.
Okay.
And Rent Shield obviously kept going under the management team, where a lot of them are here with me today. So Emily is with us. There are more in the management team. So they then carried on until last year, I believe, when Barben decided to close the Rent Shield building and move the brand all the way back to Lincoln. So that's really my story. I had a gap of 2 or 3 years where I just did other stuff, but I've sort of been in this industry now since 2004, and I just thought, when that happened last year, it was in my own hometown. It was such a shame to lose such a vibrant company with such good people. The management team approached me. I'm going on to the next question. With the management team.
I know this. I'll tell you what comes across there, though, Gary, is that's a bit of a kind of Godfather story, isn't it? You tried to get out, but they dragged you back in. And what I liked when we originally spoke was you did just make that point that actually the team asked you, didn't you? They wanted you to get back involved again, which I think shows. Well, it shows, first of all, a great belief in you, which is fantastic, but also that they believe they had something to offer the industry that was different.
So they approached me and said, are you interested in it's a bit like the story from the Blues Brothers, shall we put the band back together? They asked me if I was interested in going again. I loved what Rent Shield Direct stood for. I knew it was very successful. I mean, the year before they finished, their EBITDA was just over £1 million. So I knew it was a very successful business. I knew it had some great people in there with some great minds, but I wanted to do it a little bit differently this time. I wanted to give a lot of the day-to-day running of the business over to the management team and develop that and develop them, which we are doing. But still under the same ethos, the same values, as we run Rent Shield Direct from. And so, you know, we set up, even in COVID times when it was tough, we knew that there was a gap in the market, and we decided to go for it. We had the management team. In all intents and purposes, Simon, it is a new business, but it's a new business with an existing team with over 40, 50 years experience between them, and an agent profile that that just loved what we stood for. So we knew that we could immediately go out to those people and start to tell them that we were here and get some of those agents back.
So that's I can't remember whose phrase it is, whether it's Apple's, but it's same but different, basically. Lots of stuff that you're obviously keeping all the good stuff and everything else, and just improving and enhancing on that as you go as well.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Can I ask you guys a couple of questions though? Because clearly there seems to be, you know, there's always been, let's be honest, quite a few referencing companies around, but especially in the last couple of years, again, there seems to be quite a few have started up, are offering very, very cheap or even free referencing. Didn't that concern you, or why do you think that has happened? You know, to all intents and purposes, as you said, it almost looks like tenant referencing is becoming commoditized. So do you want to just talk to us about, have I got that right, by the way, or what's your view on that?
Simon, you're smack on. You're absolutely smack on. And I think there's two things, and I need to talk a little bit, but there's two things that sort of drove that. There was, first of all, the tenant fee ban for agents, where they couldn't then charge the tenants, and the second thing was the introduction of open banking. The agents overnight lost a huge income driver for their business by not being able to charge the tenants, and what they had to do then is they had to get their money from somewhere, so they started driving prices down, and so what you found then was the referencing companies that were in the market at the time, there was a race to the bottom.
Yeah,
they were all fighting in the same shark-infested water, and they were absolutely just the price was being driven down. And then, of course, you got the introduction of open banking, which allowed the tech companies to come in and automate referencing overnight. Yeah. And now, yes, you know, I'm not here devaluing open banking, because in some references there is a case to say that open banking does work, but I would say that that's probably less than 20% of references where open banking actually has the desired effect that it needs.
Yeah.
And so we're at the point where they're fighting for the same. And so what they have to do, what these companies have to do, is they then have to diversify. And I always liken it to somebody like DFS. So DFS sell, everybody would know DFS as a seller of furniture. Yeah. But I would say to you, that's not true. They're a finance company. They just use the furniture as a commodity to move the finance. You know, that's why they offer 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Double glazing companies exactly the same. Yeah. You know, they just need a product. So referencing became that product. It became the product to drive all of the other companies. And so, but that's at the detriment all the time of the landlord and the tenant. And the agent. So because they're not getting the service that they want, that they require, that they used to get. And so you know, it is this race to the bottom. And you know, we wanted to come into the market and, you know, bring back the old values, the you know, the service, the customer service. You know, we really aren't interested in somebody coming to us and saying, can you beat £4 for a referencing? Because the answer is categorically no, we're not interested.
It's the old saying, Gary, isn't it? You can't have them both together. You can't have cheap and quality. You can't have speed, and that something has to give in this whole thing if you're going to be there. And what I think is most important is there's always going to be a demographic of the audience who just want cheap and cheerful there.
Absolutely.
My understanding is the majority want a happy balance. Yes, of course, they can't be stuck in a commercial vacuum, but considering how it is an enabler for the rest of the business, it would be madness to allow tenant referencing to stop in the way of actual business, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. So what we would say, and just to finish this point, I would say, if you come to Letmojo and you use us, first and foremost, we are a referencing company.
Yeah.
We do offer other products, but they are not the be all and end all for us. We want to get the referencing right for the agent, for the landlord, for the tenant. We don't want to be at a point where the computer says no.
Yeah.
We look at everything individually, and I know Emma's going to touch on this a lot more when we go into this. But fundamentally, the thing to get from this today is we're a referencing company. We're not an insurance company.
Yeah.
We do offer those products because some agents and some landlords and some tenants want those products.
Yeah.
But we're a referencing company.
And because of that, you specialise. And as ever, when anyone specialises in anything, you get good at it, don't you? That's the key point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I know we're going to touch on this later on, but if we talk about, there is, and I said earlier on, there is room in the market for everything. There is a room in the market for open banking. There's room in the market for good service. There's room in the market for mosing. So what we would like to build as Letmojo grows is what we call the pick and mix service. So we can let the agent decide what they would like to have. So if they've got a tenant who has been in a job for 25 years, earns a really good income, they know that there's never been any trouble, they can probably choose a cheap and cheerful way of getting them through reference, knowing that it's going to go through. But that, as I said earlier on, is probably only 1 in every 5 tenants that these agents touch. So they need other ways of being able to give the service to the tenants and the landlords that they deserve.
But that's really well. Look, I'll let you have a well-deserved drink.
Thank you.
Coffee. That's all right. And let's talk to Emily now. So obviously, you're part of the team that said to Gary, "Come on, Gary, let's get the band back together here." What do you think? What's from your belief is that what makes Letmojo different, apart from the fantastic name, which I do absolutely adore, by the way, guys? Just give us your thoughts on that. Would you mind, Emily?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like Gary touched on there. We are a referencing company, and that is the main thing, because most of the referencing companies out there, they are insurance companies, they are tech companies, and referencing is a means to make money. And like Gary said, those that are selling it for free, those that are giving away free referencing, they are making their money elsewhere. So where are they making it? And are you aware that they're making it from those means? Yeah, for us, it is about agents coming first, delivering a quality service above everything. And that means that we don't take necessarily the easiest route for us. We don't take the cheapest route for us, but we take what's best for the agent. We take that route and make sure that they get the right tenants in. And we actually care about our agents' results. We want them to do well. We want them to have the right tenants. We don't want them to be having that computer says no experience. We want to look at things sensibly. And if we can say yes to a tenant, we want to say yes. Obviously, if we shouldn't, we won't. But if it's a common sense point of view, I think is what's missing in the market, and that's really what we offer.
So the key point here is about transparency and honesty, isn't it? In terms of what you're talking about, as you said, that belief when you are getting something for cheap or for free. These aren't charities. They're not doing it off their own backs, are they? Somewhere, there's going to be a margin being made. And it is really important for the agent to understand that, because that might conflict with their own existing, referral practices and things like that anyway, won't they? So give us an idea as well, Emily, why does Letmojo help you get better tenants?
Because we give a more accurate, reflective conclusion on their current circumstances. So because we actually pick up the phone which a lot of referencing companies now don't do. It's a small thing, but because we pick up the phone, we can dive deeper into references, get more information. The example I always use is on a landlord reference. So when we get a landlord reference, if you have what's now commonplace, a web form, do they pay their rent on time? Yes, no. That's all they get. They have to mark yes or no. There's no option, no grey areas. And sometimes they might think, well, I can't mark no because there was that one time in their 2-year tenancy where their rent was a week late. So they mark yes, and the tenant is automatically sent back as a decline, or they're needing a guarantor or something like that. But if you actually have a conversation and you find out, well, actually they were a week late, there was a hiccup with their employer paying them, they came good on a week later and it was just that one time, well, they're not a risk, they're fine.
You've got context, haven't you, Emily, at that
yeah
stage? Yeah,
exactly. So then we can make the common sense conclusion because we've had that conversation, and it means you as an agent aren't missing out on what could have been a good tenant that otherwise would have just been straight away declined. Because a lot of agents will just go off that conclusion, they'll go off whatever that report says and they won't ask a question. And when that report is being concluded by a system, sometimes you need to ask questions because the system doesn't always get it right. People aren't neat, their situations aren't neat, they don't fit into neat boxes. And by making phone calls and picking up the phone and having those conversations, you get more information. Same thing with income. Someone's unemployed. Agents told me with their previous providers, straight away accept a guarantor. They're not passing because they're unemployed. But actually, no one's unemployed or no income, especially not if they're looking to rent. So our form will ask, do you have any further sources of income and where from? So it gives them a wide open field where they can say exactly what they get, where it comes from, and we can look to see what we can do about proving their income. So it gives you a better indication of who they are, what they're about. And, if they aren't suitable because of a reference, because of a landlord reference, why? They owe X amount of rent, they've been late X amount of times. You then can know as an agent and make a judgment for yourself based on the full facts, not based on a yes, no box.
And does all this extra sort of attention, does it lead to a big delay in the turnaround time, or are you still able to turn these tenant referencing cases around quickly?
I find it actually makes it faster because you're getting less back and forth.
Yeah.
So previously, if, for example, they put in a web form and then the agent gets a report back saying decline, they phone the referencing company, this is decline, why is the land reference bad? Oh, I don't know, we didn't actually speak to them, they filled in a web form, let me go back to them.
You're always going back and forth.
Exactly. Right. So then you have to do all that. Whereas we pick up the phone first time, get the answer, and it's done. We know exactly what's needed of them. Then I was not thinking, how do I fill this in? This tenant's not fitting the boxes, because they can just speak to us and explain the situation, and we can work out where they should be on the boxes, and it's fine. So it actually does get results faster.
So I whisper it quietly, but it's about doing the job properly first time round.
Exactly that.
Yeah, I think it's important. Would anybody let somebody into their house, which might be worth 200,000, which is probably via a computer?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that's crazy. I just can't get my head around it.
No.
Yeah, lettings is such a people business. It doesn't make sense not to use people for your referencing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So give us some other ideas of other benefits for agents then, in terms of what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, one of the big ones is that time saved, having that less back and forth, because it does lead to frustration for the agent. If they want to be able to get a report, that's the conclusion and they know it. So we do those little bits and pieces that an agent would normally have to go back and forth for anyway. So if a tenant doesn't quite meet affordability, we'll pick up the phone. Do you have any sources of income that you've not listed on your application? Let's find out now before we send the report back. We'll ask those questions. We'll get that information ahead of time, so that when an agent gets their report, they know exactly where they stand. They know we've done all we can to get all the information together. They don't have to come back to us and say, what about this? Well, can you add this on? They've got savings that they didn't put on their form. Can you add this on? Oh, like I said, with the landlord, how much were they late by? We have all that information ready. So easier, smoother, cleaner process, quicker process. Tenant knows exactly where they stand. Reports are really easy to read. Traffic lights all the way down, so they know. Everyone knows green means go. So
everyone loves a traffic.
Everyone loves traffic lights. So.
Yeah. Not working so well with the travel industry, but all right for lettings.
No. Yeah, exactly that. We're flexible with agents as well, because obviously, every agent works differently. Every agent has different preferences. So if an agent has a specific request, such as I only ever want written references, that's fine. We'll chase it by phone and then get it in an email. Or they never want to use payslips, that's fine. We'll make sure that we don't never use payslips for you. We work with agents as well to make sure that their individual needs as a business are met, and give them a dedicated account manager as well. So we check in with our accounts, provide industry insights, things like that, so they know where they are in the marketplace.
I think that's a very important, what Emily's just said about account manager. I think if you rang up any one of our agents and said, who's your account manager, every single one of them would know. They would, the ones that Emily looks after, they would say, yeah, it's Emily. But I think if you went to a lot of the other companies and said, who's your account manager, they would go, don't know, we just send it off.
I was going to cover off at the end, which I still will do, but they're in those reviews that you've literally just come on the website, so you've just started putting them on there, but they're all top rated at the moment, and they do definitely make a point of sounding out the account manager. And I always think that's really important when you're looking at reviews in terms of is you can really spot where, and it's fine, by the way, if it's just the company giving an overall good thing there, but there are clues there as well to the type of service you get in the way that people write those reviews, and that just reinforces what you just said there, Gary, as much as anything. Because I think that's the thing, isn't it? People, I know, talking to many agents as we do, on a daily basis here at Kerfuffle, and their frustration with those kind of commoditized tenant referencing, it's a bit like Ryanair or something like that. It's fine, it does the job, doesn't it, on the tin, as long as you stick within these strictures like this. The minute you go outside of that, well, yeah, you've made it a couple of times. Computer says no. That's just not what they're made for. Is it that flexibility?
No, agree.
Exactly that. I spoke to someone yesterday, one of our agents, who had phoned me with a query that was completely unrelated to referencing. She just wanted a sounding board, someone to speak to sort of try and work out where she was going with this particular piece of legislation. And she said to me, do you normally get agents phone you about things that are completely unrelated to your job? I was like, you'd be surprised. It happens quite often. And if I don't know the answer, I'll go away and I'll look, I'll send you some helpful links, whatever that might be. It's not all about, it's not about referencing, so I'm not interested. It's we're there to support you as a business.
Just no medical problems. We don't deal with medical problems.
that was my whole next section, Gary. I was going to go into that, but we've saved the viewers some there then. So we've mentioned a couple of examples there. Crucially, I've always had a very simplistic view on things. Half of the things, if I'm honest, on our site I don't understand. But where I do really pick up and pay attention to is I go and talk, I look, I investigate, and I make sure I understand what the clients of the supplier are saying. What's the feedback you're getting now? Clearly, a load of those past clients will have come back looking and wanting to retain that service that you've had. Give me I'm guessing they've now found a home to come back to, if you like, but also give us an idea of the ones that didn't know you of old, what they're kind of saying about the Letmojo proposition.
Yeah, you're completely right. Obviously, once you start marketing Letmojo out on social media, before I was publicly said that I was with Letmojo, an agent that I'd worked with previously had messaged me saying, please tell me you're going to be with Letmojo. So they were sort of ready and waiting. But obviously we're speaking to agents from all over, and the things that they've been telling me is that with their current provider, they're chasing a lot. I've called my referencing provider, they don't pick up the phone, I can't get through, I'm left on hold, the phone cuts off, I send an email, 2 days later they respond, and it's the exact opposite of what we drive for. Right. We don't want our agents to be left on hold. They're busy people. They want to, if I'm on the phone and one of my accounts calls me, they leave me a voicemail, I'll call them back within half an hour. Normally they'll get a call back, and that's the kind of service that we normally offer. Quick response and just being there for them. You obviously said yourself with the reviews that we've had, we're told we're knowledgeable, helpful, available. Those are the words that are used to describe us, and that's exactly what we aim for. That's really where we want to be. But like I said, they've just said thank you to us for making things faster and easier, and they don't have to think about it. They start their reference, don't worry about it, they get it back, it's done. They don't have to get involved with the chasing process, and I think that's something that agents are having to get involved in a lot at the moment.
Yeah, Yeah, I understand that. And I think what's clearly coming across to me now, look, we haven't had the chance to catch up, and we haven't descended on your headquarters yet to meet the rest of the team and everything else. But I'm guessing there, from the way that you're talking, everything we've spoken about in the past, is this has led to quite a strong culture at Letmojo. So would it be fair to say that that really is the way that you have quite a togetherness about you as a team, to, as you said, to put the band back together?
Yeah, completely. We are, we do work well together. We're in constant communication. I think that's another thing that agents tell me. They speak to people, and one person doesn't know what the other person's doing. Not obviously elsewhere. No one seems to be on the same page.
Have you been talking to some of my Kerfuffle colleagues? What have they been saying about me now?
But we're all on the same page, all drive for the same thing, and it's the ethos that's really started by Gary, way back when, and it's sort of carried through. Obviously, you've had Gary speak. He's quite effective in the things that he says, and I still remember meetings he gave me back in 2013. They're still in my mind. So I think it's just that ethos that drives us through as a team.
I think I think just for me, I always say teamwork builds the dream work, and it's all about not being. There's a lot of people out there that run businesses that think that I'm the bee's knees. You understand what you're good at, and bring people on. Don't be afraid to bring people on that are better than you, sharper than you, younger than you, that know the business better than you, and are prepared to teach you, and get them involved in the whole thing, and that's why the ethos is so good, because we look after, we don't just look after our agents and our clients, we look after our staff as well, and I think that is so important, and and that then always rubs off to your clients, because and it's so important. Somebody said to me once, very early on, he said that the clients are always the most important, and I go, I think you'll find that your staff are the most important. If you look after the staff, your clients will get an excellent, exceptional experience.
Never seen a business, Gary, that treats its staff well, that has a great customer service ethos on the outside. It doesn't work like that, does it? You can't crack the whip internally and then expect them to be all lovey-dovey.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it's really, really important. And I think, we drive that ethos right the way down through our management team, right the way down, to our references, so they also feel part of the business, and they feel that there's a progression for them, that they feel that there's somewhere where they can go. I mean, we've had one of our references, or our referencing manager at the moment, a young girl called Amy. She's not very old, but she's not as young as she used to be, because she was with me right at the start. Well, she's been with me right through since 2004. She's now a referencing manager. She has a share in the business. She knows, and she's driving for the same vision that we've all got.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important, and I think it's so important that agents know that as well, that we, that's what we do internally, so that they
look. Not everybody has the choice of dealing with companies, 100% of companies that they like, do they? But there has definitely been a trend over the last, I think, particularly in the last 10-15 years, where if you can possibly do so, whether that's aligning with green values, whether that's environmental values, whether that's aligning with charity views, whether that's aligning with cultural views, it is a firm and definite trend, isn't it, that people will do that. So yes, of course, you can't do it if there's a huge price differential there. People aren't going to still pay through the nose for those things. But actually, if it's within touching distance, they will come to those businesses.
Agree.
Great. So Gary, what's your view, and Emily, of what place does technology play in your business? I mean, we've spoken about the ones that have probably gone too far down the scale of just automating, you know, as the title of this webinar was. But presumably you're still fans of what technology can do for you. Give us an overview of how that plays a part in your own business.
We do have products that use technology, so it's not that we are completely technology averse. Service is the most important thing, but you know, as well as referencing, we do have those other products. So for example, we have right to rent checks, which we have an electronic system for that to support agents, enable them to create reports for their landlords, manages their data in line with legislation. We have an enhanced ID check, which is fully electronic, you know, tenants uploading selfies and a copy of their ID to check against the Met Police database for fraud. And we have an online void switching and utility management platform. So we do use technology in those areas. And, you know, like Gary said, it's completely pick and mix. Agents use which of those they want and which of those they don't want to use. They don't have to, but you know, the technology does have its place.
It's like, because some people do the kickback thing too far the other way, don't they? They immediately go, well, we're all about personal service, and then, you know, they almost like become a bit Luddite about it and sort of forget about what technology can do. But what we're not talking about is, you're not going back to the days of faxing, you know, referencing sheets across, are you? You're taking the very best of what technology can deliver for you in terms of efficiency, but coupled with that service ethos that you guys clearly believe in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Good stuff. So give us an idea. You mentioned there at the beginning that although referencing is where you specialize, what other areas can you help agents out with though as well? Did you say insurance was on the agenda as well there?
So insurance, we are in the process. I don't want to send anybody a duff quote. So we are in the process of becoming directly authorized. That will be done within the next 6 to 8 weeks. So I'm being told by our compliance team.
Gary, my favorite phrase was, it will be weeks rather than months. That's how
yeah. So if they say 6 to 8 weeks, just double that. But we are working through it with the FCA as quick as we can.
Excellent.
Obviously, the first product that we will bring in, which is very, very important to agents, is rent guarantee.
Yes.
We're already set up for it. We've already got a provider. I think as soon as we can get, because we are a fledgling business, you know, we are having to take it stage by stage. So I know that Emily's probably got, I don't know, a dozen agents lined up, ready for that use rent guarantee as part of their offering, that are prepared, that are going to just come to us straight as we've got the rent guarantee, which will happen as soon as we become directly authorized.
What a lovely position to be in, that you know that.
Oh, it's fantastic. So that month we'll have record figures.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'll talk to you about shares afterwards in the business, but that's so one thing I think that's always quite important to know is, of course, we all want, you know, we all want business, but often actually businesses do well, certainly in the early days, by identifying almost their target audience, you know, who's their best client. Do you have a kind of profile of agent that works with, or does it genuinely just across the board? Give us an idea of who your target agent is.
Is that me, Emily?
That's one for you, yeah.
I think we work mainly at the moment, and I'm going to be quite honest out there, because I keep going back to this. We're a young company. As we grow, our profile will change, and I hope that the agents will realise that. Yeah. So at the moment, we work with a lot of independent agents that like the customer service, like what we have to offer.
Yes.
And we do get approached, because of what we offer, by agents at the moment. And we have to be quite honest with them and say, look, you have rent guarantee as part of your offering. We are in the process of doing all of that and setting all of this up. And we will be back to you as soon as we've got that. So I think that as Letmojo grows, our profile of our agent will change significantly, because we will start to be able to go out to what we would call the larger agents, the multi-agents, and to start to compete with the homelets of this world, and say, you know, we can offer all of that. You know, we can offer all that. But I would be dishonest if I said to you today that we could, because we've been going for 3 months.
Yeah, that's a breath of fresh air, though, to be honest, Gary, isn't it? Because I mean, I know in my previous world, I used to mistakenly, because I was a green-faced Peter Pan-esque character, I used to think that, you know, it was absolutely right for every part of the marketplace, and that's how we did it. The problem is you see that isn't the case afterwards, and sometimes you do need time to grow, evolve, and everything else there, because otherwise you try to do everything at once. You have too many spinning plates, and we all know what happens when you have too many spinning plates, don't we?
Absolutely. So, you know, I know that Emily at the moment is contacting agents, and sometimes at the moment we have to say, no, we're not quite ready for you. You're probably ready for us and the service that we can offer you, but we're not quite ready for you. And we will be back to you as soon as we can, because
the key thing there, Gary, Emily, is talk to you. You'll have a full frank discussion. Obviously, hopefully you can meet their requirements now, but if not, as and when you layer in these different product services there, you'll be able to go back to them and say, look guys, we now feel we can really hit your standards.
Yeah, we wouldn't bring anyone on, you know, under false pretenses. They need to know exactly what we offer beforehand. If someone uses rent guarantee, you know, we'll tell them we don't have that. So, you know, maybe we're not right for you right now, but like Gary said, we'll be in touch, and we are. But we're not going to bring anyone on and just sort of, you know, brush that under the carpet. We'll tell them straight up, no, we don't have that product right now, but we will.
We're working through our plan. We're working through a plan. We're just in the process of doing our first SEIS raise. So you know, we've got a plan. We've got a short-term, medium-term, long-term plan. Goals, aspirations, and you know, we're sticking to it. We're ahead of schedule. We're ahead of where we said we were going to be. The next stage is to go directly authorized. We've got the race. We've got some really exciting times coming, and you know, you know, we want everyone to be part of it.
Come on the journey with you, really, is the angle.
Absolutely.
You've got those clear plans for the future, though, set out for growing the business as you need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. So look, we're going to come back because you have come up with a wonderful deal with our kerfufflers. But if I try and just summarize now, been making a few notes as we've been going through along, is in terms of, you know, the key takeaways they should understand about Letmojo. The first thing is like automated referencing gives you very basic information on the tenant, doesn't it? It's not comprehensive, not checked by anyone, but you obviously as the letting agent out there. In effect, then they're taking all the risk and making all the decisions, which isn't a great position to be in, is it? First off. Secondly, you know, choose a company that's interested in the market and helping you understand that marketplace as well, rather than just trying to sell you product after product after product. They're only in this obviously to make money from you and not to help, you know, your business grow, be safe and succeed. Now, clearly you're a commercial organization, but you very firmly are at one end of the scale compared to some of these other ones that are really just about, you know, shifting goods, as it were. And then finally, customer service, unsurprisingly, is that's why we got on, Gary, when we first spoke. You know, you spoke everything I believe in myself. You know, that's what's going to make your lettings business tick. You know, it has given some businesses, hasn't it, COVID? Let's be honest. Some of them have taken the excuse to drop the standards and everything else there and lose that customer focus. I think it's going to be very interesting to see as we start to return whether they actually bother even trying to build back in that customer service. I suspect they won't, because of course when you've had that race back to the bottom, it's very difficult to build back up, isn't it?
Yeah.
So make sure you, again, work with a business that can help you answer your questions and work with you to improve on that customer service for both your tenants and your landlords. And then I always make the point is don't just be a supplier to the industry, be a partner with those businesses.
I was just going to say that. I was, you know, I was just waiting for a gap there, and I was just going to say, you know, don't, even for the agents, don't come and be a customer, be a partner.
Yeah. Good luck getting a word. Good luck getting a word in here. If you want a word in edgeways, go on Chris Watkins' show. But Whaley, he controls this. Okay, guys, I think look, it's been really interesting. I do love what you're doing here. Obviously, it's such a critical area of the business for so many. But you guys have been really, really generous as well, giving an exclusive offer out to Kerfuffle members. Again, I implore everybody, go and have a look at the wonderfully named Letmojo on kerfuffle.com. You can see further information about them, overview. You can see further recordings as we add to this over the coming months as well, and you can see obviously the deals that we've got on the table there as well. But crucially, go and see what other named agents are, and they're never anonymized. Go and see what they're saying, because I think that gives as much of a feedback on suppliers as you can possibly hope for. But I'm right in saying you've given a bundle of services out to our Kerfuffle members, haven't you? Which includes 3 full references, 3 right to rent checks, and 3 enhanced ID checks for free.
Yep. Get learn to try a bit of everything.
That would have been really awkward then if you said no. I don't remember that at all. But
we remember it. And you can't get it. You can't get it anywhere else apart from Kerfuffle.
That's the crucial thing. I've got to deliver for my Kerfufflers. They're lovely people, but they're avaricious and high maintenance. So we've got to keep them feeded, Gary. We've got to keep them feeded. But so there's really, Gary. This is what I was suggesting there. Intransigence is the hardest thing for suppliers, isn't it? Well, we've already got that covered off, so you know why don't if it ain't broke, don't fix it. What I suggest we're probably talking about is it probably is broken and you might not even know it. So come and give these guys a go. You don't lose anything on the back of it anyway, and experience that service ethos that you guys have been talking about.
Look, if they don't want to come with us, come and take use of our free 3 references.
There you go. There you go.
Why wouldn't you do that? If you were at an ice cream van and somebody offered you a free ice cream, you would take it.
You're talking my language again.
Not for me, thank you.
So Gary's, he's saying, come and abuse us. He's large S here. He's just go and do it. And I know why he's doing that, of course, is he's so confident in what Emily and his team's doing here, is he knows more often than not they're going to be impressed enough to come on board. So absolutely. It's a very generous offer, but of course it's a very clever one as well.
Absolutely.
Great, guys. Really, really good talking to you. Oh, I'm sorry. The main thing is, if you do want to know more, either add them to the wish list on there as well, which adds them into your dashboard if you've registered, or just click on the wonderful big pink button that says, I'm interested, contact me, and we'll, of course, forward that on to the team at Letmojo. So for today, guys, I really, really enjoyed our chat. Be great to catch up with you over the coming months, maybe talk to a few of those clients. But for now, thank you very much and have a great day.
Cheers, Simon. Take care, mate.
Cheers.